various people have argued that we live in a post-truth society, and point to obviously quite vivid examples like President Trump as illustrating this. But you know, there is no such thing actually as post-truth thinking. Truth is fundamental to the idea of thought. That's what thinking is, the attempt to get the true answer to something. So if you discard truth, there is nothing left except the pursuit of power, which means shouting as high as tone as you can. And I think this is one thing that university students have to confront in the humanities. This idea that truth is somehow marginal or negotiable, that there isn't an absolute standard, but it's simply something that you use to embellish your arguments, as though you put flowers around their necks. You know, that is something that is preached by many of the gurus whom people study, in particular Michel Foucault, who was so influential and still is in forming the new curriculum. The new curriculum is not about finding out the truth of what people have written, but finding the power that advances behind it, so that you can confront it and be a hero of the left.
I have to say, I'm amazed by the move that's been done on this for the post-truth thing, because the people who complain about Donald Trump and others as being post-truth, and they've got a point, of course, but they are the very people themselves who pulled down the whole concept of truth. Every philosopher they admire deconstructed the idea of truth for decades.
Yes.
And at the very least, they enjoyed it or went along with it. They never opposed it. And this is one of the things in your book, The Thinkers of the New Left, that you expose.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And of course, exposing that doesn't do much good, because there isn't any way of exposing the fraudulence of someone if he really is fraudulent, because he's lost the capacity to perceive that. You know, and I think that institutionalized fraudulence is part of what we encounter in universities. If you see these, you know, denunciations, such as we've seen recently of that statistician in Cambridge who came up with the wrong research, you know, Noah Carl, he's called. You know, these denunciations are not founded upon any respect for truth. They're founded on the associations of people with the wrong thing.
Yes, adjacency it's now called.
Adjacency, right.
It's not enough that you have bad views. Yeah. You were standing adjacent to somebody who could be said to have bad views.
Manifestation of adjacency here, aren't we?
This is who comes off worst? Yeah. But it's. By the way, I think your instigation for something I'm writing at the moment, I finally went back and read some of the texts that I felt I should have done many years ago. I finally read Foucault last year, and I have to say, I'm so appalled still. I mean, I'm a bit of a pub bore on this, actually, because I'd read about it, I'd heard about it, I'd always known I sort of instinctively slightly disliked it, but the catastrophe of what he does, the sort of perversion of all life, it's brilliant, of course, and filled with resonant phrases and so on, but this perversion of life as being solely about power, and the ignoring of every other human instinct, the total ignoring of love, the total ignoring of forgiveness, power, only power. And you need to find where it is, squeeze it out of those people and drink up some of the juice yourself. And that this has been imbibed by now a couple of generations of students.
Absolutely.
I feel like I was late to it, but...
It fuels all the causes of the day, because whatever the cause is, feminism or transgenderism or whatever, it is about emancipating an oppressed group from the domination of the oppressor. And this might be exactly the wrong way of looking at it. You know, I personally think that the emancipation of women in the political sphere is obviously a great benefit to them. But to think that they should be emancipated from man as such, you know, and to undermine the relation between the sexes in that way is, as you say, putting power in the place of love. And it's one of the hard things, again, for going back to your original question about defining and defending conservatism. It's very hard to propose a philosophy that is based on love rather than on resentment or hatred. Because love is a personal thing that you don't want to talk about. You don't want to put it on display. And if you do so, it sounds, you know, kitsch, sentimental. It doesn't have the right political feel. Whereas hatred and resentment, the sense that things are being, that you're being excluded from things, that things are oppressing you and must be torn down, that is an easy thing to form into a political movement. And I suspect this is part of what makes it so difficult to express conservatism in public.
But some forms of love are, I mean, I agree, nobody wants people to get too icky in public, but some forms of love, people are, I think, very welcoming to, at least some people are, to people expressing it. Love of country, it's tricky, there's definitely places you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, not in a university.
No.